Welcome back to the channel. Hit a like and subscribe for that algorithm. Let me ask y'all a question. A serious question. Serious question. What are you willing to die for? What are you willing to die for? If you took a general consensus of the public and you asked everyone, if you asked the people what they were willing to die for, I'm sure you get all types of responses, but a lot of the typical responses, right? Like, you know, their child, parents, a sibling, their wife, husband. Nobody ever says that. Just kidding. But seriously, if you consider the question, I'm sure many of your answers would fall somewhere along the lines of the categories that I've mentioned, right? I'm pretty sure. Now, what about dying for a pack of sweet and sour sauce from McDonald's? You think that's up your alley? Now, don't get me wrong. The sauce is legendary, right? When you get a hot and fresh 20-piece nugget, all golden brown with the crispy breading and that sweet and sour sauce, my God, man. It's phenomenal. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful pairing, right? But is it so good that I'm willing to die, to put my life, to stake my life on it? This is why I talk about how trash black culture is. Well, you may not. Let me show you somebody who thinks that sweet and sour sauce is worth a life.
Good evening. Off the top at 6, 3 teenagers killed in D.C. since Friday. At 6, the suspect in the fatal stabbing of a 16-year-old Charles County high schooler is in court as we speak. The teen killed by the U Street corridor early yesterday.
Let's get right out to Fox 5's Stephanie Ramirez with the latest. Steph, what can you tell us tonight?
Sure, well, an indication of how delicate and serious this is. The judge is still deciding whether to hold a teenage suspect. This is a 16-year-old who was arrested and charged with second-degree murder as a juvenile, among other charges this person is facing. But this is for the stabbing death of another 16-year-old, both from Waldorf, Maryland. The victim is 16-year-old Naima Ligon from Charles County. Now, today would have been Ligon's first day of school. Her principal writing a letter to the school community saying they would have counselors on hand today. Get a look at this here, the note saying that this is...
So, what was supposed to be your first day of school, right? Your first day getting back to high school. What was supposed to be your first day is now your first day. Let's get into it. Let's keep going.
The news a principal ever wants to share, let alone the day before we start a new school year. The principal of Thomas Stone High School also asking for prayers. A neighbor voiced the pain that many are feeling today.
She was a beautiful person. She's my son's friend. She was the first friend that he met when he arrived here. So it's just it was a shock for us because she's a beautiful person.
Let me ask y'all a question. Why is everybody... Anytime there's a situation where somebody passes on, right? In these type of situations right here, where we have someone who died as a result of their actions, everybody magically turns into this great person. Now, I'm not saying this kid wasn't a great person, but I'm just saying you never hear anybody come out and say, yeah, no, this person was a piece of shit. Like they got what they had coming to them. You never hear that. I'm just curious. Is everybody always a good person when they die? Is everyone always a great person?
Listen to your parents. Check in with your friends. And sometimes we got to stay away from things we know we shouldn't. People, places, and things we shouldn't be around.
As police say, the stabbing took place just outside of the 24-hour McDonald's by 14th and U Street Northwest. In court today, we learned that a group of young people came to D.C. for a party before driving to that McDonald's. An argument then started in a car, apparently over sweet and sour sauce. Then a physical fight breaks out. The attorney for the teen charged claiming that the suspect was jumped. The prosecutor claims that the fight was over when surveillance video allegedly captured that teenage suspect lunging at least once toward the victim around the time we're told Ligon went back to the vehicle. Now, this was around 2:10 yesterday morning. Ligon was pronounced dead at Howard University Hospital, stabbed in the abdomen and torso. Residents and business owners are furious at the level of violence that they've been seeing around the U Street corridor. One area leader claims that violence spilling over and an open-air drug market deeper into the Shaw neighborhood has forced a number of businesses to close up shop just this past year alone. Another 18-year-old we know was shot and killed about 4 blocks away from this fatal stabbing early Saturday morning. Guys, with regard to 16-year-olds, we know that there is a juvenile curfew already on the books, but this fatal stabbing also comes before DC police are expected to begin their targeted curfew enforcement. And the U Street corridor is one of the neighborhoods that was selected to be targeted, which begins September 1st. So actually, this Friday, we'll have...
Let me say this, because I used to be a person that didn't believe in voting, right? I thought it was all political bullshit, right? This was in my younger years. I thought I didn't like to vote, right? I had a strong stance against voting and going to polls because I inherently believed that it was just all a bunch of BS, right? But, so as I started to get older, I started to realize the importance of voting. Right, and the importance of heading to the polls to vote in laws that affect your area and directly where you live, right? That affect directly your community. And you know, she just said that there's a law on the books, which means it hasn't been decided yet. It hasn't been voted on yet. It hasn't been made official yet for 16-year-olds to have a curfew. Let's read the article. It says, a 16-year-old girl was stabbed to death outside Washington, D.C. area McDonald's in an apparent dispute about sweet and sour sauce over the weekend. Naima Ligon of Waldorf, Maryland, was allegedly killed by another 16-year-old girl outside the fast food chain in a popular nightlife section of the city around 2 a.m., the Metropolitan Police said. What are your kids doing outside at 2 a.m. in the morning? What are your children doing outside at 2 a.m. in the morning? I don't know anything about this situation. I don't know anything about this young lady. But it's hard to believe that there is a father in the home that would allow his 16-year-old daughter to be outside of the house at 2 a.m. in the morning. Why are your children outside at 6? See, this is why, in one of the last videos I did, I said that my son is 17. He is not allowed to go anywhere without me knowing about it. And he damn sure ain't going to be outside at 2 a.m. in the morning. He got curfew. Right? He will not be outside at 2 a.m. in the morning. Why are your kids 16 years old outside at 2 a.m. in the morning? Ain't nothing open at 2 a.m. The club shut down at 2 a.m. Ain't even old enough to get in the club. She ain't even old enough to get in the club. So we know you ain't at the club. What you doing outside at 2 a.m.? Says the deadly knife attack stemmed from an argument over the nugget dipping sauce between the teens and a third girl. The verbal dispute turned physical as Ligon and the third girl hit the teenage suspect, who did not initially fight back. So y'all assaulted someone else. Y'all attacked the girl. She was the attacker. You and what I would assume is your homie decided to jump this girl. And they said she didn't initially fight back. Outside the restaurant near U Street, NW Jasper told the court, citing security footage. The 16-year-old instead lunged at Ligon and the third teen as they tried to get into a vehicle, the detective testified. So in other words, on camera, they tried to leave after they jumped this young lady. They tried to leave, and the 16-year-old came back and was like, nah, I got something for y'all since y'all want to jump me. And that's where the dispute comes in. That's where the case is made, right? Unfortunately, this girl that was jumped re-engaged the fight. And because the American law is the way it is, you cannot do that. You cannot re-enter into a fight after the fight has been disengaged. You cannot then go and re-enter into the fight, and not only re-enter the fight, but you bring a deadly weapon into it, and as a result, you end up taking a life. She's going to... Her lawyers... Let's finish reading. Jesus Christ. The suspect allegedly stabbed Ligon in the chest and abdomen with a 7.5-inch pocket knife. The girl was rushed to the hospital by private means, but could not be saved. Ligon died the day before she was to resume classes at Thomas Stone High School following the summer break. I'm assuming this is the young lady who died. Yes, Naima Ligon, 16, was stabbed by another girl in a fight over sweet and sour sauce. Yeah, so that's her right there. You little niggas out here y'all out here burning out over sweet and sour sauce? Y'all burn. Alright. The 16-year-old suspect, whose name has not been released due to her age, was arrested Sunday and will also miss classes as she was ordered held without bail until her next court date. The girl, who is also from Waldorf, was charged with second-degree murder while armed and pleaded not involved, the juvenile version of not guilty, during the hearing Monday. She was found to be in possession of a knife when police handcuffed her. She was the only person who brought a knife to a fist fight. Prosecutor, listen, that's the thing here, right? The defense attorney said she claimed that she acted in self-defense. However, your argument of self-defense disappears when you re-engage the fight that has already been disengaged, and that's what's going to happen in this court case. That is exactly what's going to happen in this court case. And, you know, this prosecutor saying she was the only person who brought a knife to a fist fight. Well, there shouldn't have been a fight, right? I don't think anybody, I can't say that because these kids these days are different. There are kids these days that get up, walk outside of their doors and actually go and look for some shit to get into that's like this. They actually look for altercations to get into. But this is why it's so very important to govern over your fucking kids. I'm assuming this is her with her mom. I don't see a picture of her and her dad. Where's the dad at? Like I said, it's hard to believe that there's a dad in the home, an active father, that would allow his 16-year-old daughter to be outside at 2 a.m. fighting over sweet and sour sauce. Why the fuck are your kids outside at 2 a.m. in the morning? D.C. officials have created a curfew for minors aged 16 and younger in several parts of D.C., including the U Street area, that begins on Friday. Now y'all want to institute laws. Why you need a law? Why do you need a law to have your goddamn kid in the house at 2 a.m. in the morning? Why the officials got to tell you to do that? Why legislators got to step in and tell you that your kid has no business being outside at 2 a.m. in the morning, arguing over sweet and sour sauce? Somebody explain it to me. This is why I talk about how trash black culture is, because if we put all the equity, we put all the equity in the things that are absolutely useless to us. We put so much equity in pride. We put so much equity in our clothes, our shoes, our hair, our appearance, and our ability to fight just to prove a point. Y'all egos that fragile? Y'all egos are that fragile. Where you got to come to blows over a condiment? Y'all losing lives over a condiment? Y'all egos are so important to y'all that you're willing to die over a couple ounces of sauce? I know. It's the principle, right? It's principle. It's principles involved, right? It's a principle that matters. Let me tell y'all something. There ain't enough goddamn principle in the world to make me go out at 2 in the morning and lose my life over a goddamn sauce packet from McDonald's. Do y'all understand just how insane that sounds? A trip to McDonald's to get some nuggets turned into a trip to the afterlife. A trip to McDonald's to get a 20-piece nugget turned into a trip to the morgue. And this is what y'all out here burning out over? This is what you young motherfuckers out here burning out over? No way. No way. No way. You heard the neighbor say in the video, she was a great person. She was a great person, great person, great person. What is a great person at 16 doing outside arguing about sweet and sour sauce? Jumping on somebody else with a friend. I gotta judge off the details. I don't know her personally, right? I gotta judge off what I know. I ain't never jumped nobody. And I come from that. I come from an area and neighborhood with gang mentality. I ain't never jumped nobody. I'm sorry. But good people don't go out and jump somebody else over sweet and sour sauce. Govern your children, man. Govern your children. Govern your children.
What is it that you should be attending to in relationship to the development of your children? Well, we could refer to a different rule. This is from Book 1, and the rule was, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Okay, so let's think that through for a minute. First of all, to understand that rule, you have to admit that you could dislike your children. And you might say, well, I know I love them so deeply, I could never dislike them. It's like, you're a liar. So you dislike yourself. You dislike your wife. Like, dislike, man, that comes up a lot. And you know, with your children, not only do you dislike them, you should.
Buckle down for the ride. Run that by me one more time.